You don't get into heaven by faith alone. You get justified by faith alone. You get into a position where God is 100% for you by faith alone. And in order to get into heaven, that faith must bear the fruit of love. Pursue the holiness without which you will not see the Lord. Put to death the deeds of the body, and you will live. It's the surveyors who are confused. Come on now, Bethlehem College and Seminary. Don't be sloppy. We should not speak of getting into heaven at the last day, through the last judgment, when all of our lives are assessed for whether there's been any transformation confirming the reality of the faith which alone justifies. We should not say, you can live like the devil and get to heaven. You can't. There is a holiness without which we will not see the Lord. Hebrews 12:14. So, essential to the Christian life and necessary for final salvation is the killing of sin, Romans 8:13, and the pursuit of holiness.
The Word of God says in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 14, "Follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord." This passage is often cited as an alleged proof text to teach that salvation is conditioned upon an individual's conduct and personal holiness, without which they cannot see God and go to heaven. However, when we take context into consideration, it becomes clear that this passage is pertaining to other men seeing God in us. The man being referred to in the latter portion of this verse is one of the men being referred to in the first portion of this verse, with whom we are to follow peace and holiness. In other words, no man shall see the Lord in you if you fail to follow peace and holiness with all men. I'll say that again. No man shall see the Lord in you if you fail to follow peace and holiness with all men. Pastor Tom Stiegel writes, Hebrews chapter 12, verse 14 is simply saying that other people will not see the Lord in the believer's life without that believer also manifesting God's attributes of peace and holiness. The mere implication that an individual's personal holiness can somehow grant them access to see God and stand before Him is asinine. The Word of God is clear regarding the righteousness required to enter into the kingdom of heaven. Jesus said this, "Except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees," notice this, "ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven." The righteousness which far exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees is the righteousness of God, the perfect and sufficient righteousness of Jesus Christ. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21 says, "For he hath made him to be sin for us, who knew no sin, that we might be made," what? "The righteousness of God in him." Philippians chapter 3, verse 9 says, "And be found in him, not having mine own righteousness, which is of the law, but that which is through the faith of Christ, the righteousness which is of God." How? By faith. Romans chapter 3, starting off in verse 20, the Word of God says, "Therefore by the deeds of the law there shall no flesh be justified or declared righteous in his sight, for by the law is the knowledge of sin." But now, notice this, the righteousness of who? God, without what? The law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets, even the righteousness of God, which is by what? Faith of Jesus Christ unto all and upon all them that what? Believe. For there is no difference. The righteousness of God perfect and absolute, is imputed unto and upon the believer. The imputation of this righteousness is instantaneously received by grace through faith alone. On the cross, the Father imputed the sins of the world unto the sinless Son of God. Christ became sin for the sinner, watch this, so that the sinner can become the righteousness of God in him. The moment man believes, man is made righteous. In other words, the unrighteous sinner is declared a righteous son of God. This free gift of salvation is unmerited, undeserved, and unearned. If you are not 100% certain that you're going to heaven when you die, I encourage you, my friend, to watch the video in the description below, The Bible Way to Heaven, and be saved today. God bless.